Hi guys, I actually want to make a second video for today. I wanted to encourage everybody to watch the 10-minute clip of RFK Jr. that I put up on my Telegram channel. I wanted to remind my fellow Jews to beware, to be cautious, to understand that the fake news media wants to paint people as anti-Semites or racists, to confuse us, to gaslight us. RFK Jr. is not an anti-Semite. Let's be smarter than this. Let's understand how we've been played until now and not fall victim to that game anymore. When someone is a threat to the deep state, they try to make us think negatively of them or think they're evil, when really it's a smear campaign against the good guys. So just know that it is a pattern. It's a matter of pattern recognition right now in this 5D warfare that we're involved in, this spiritual end times war. So be careful not to fall into that trap. Number one. Number two, Martin Geddes, who I love, who is an absolute literate genius. He is a wordsmith and he is Q. He's one of us. And he captures what we're going through so articulately, beautifully, poetically. And I really recommend people read his latest article that he put out today, which I shared also to my Telegram. I want to read to you guys the first little bit of it, which I printed out. I read it to myself like 3 times because this is medicine for my soul right now. Makes me feel so much less alone, and I hope it can do the same for you. The article is called, "And Yet You Still Keep Going and Are Still Here." Martin Geddes, July 20th, 2023. A little look back on what we have confronted and overcome. Participants in this non-linear 5th generation war are having to deal with novel war wounds. Let's contrast our situation with the past. You could have been in London during the Blitz of World War II with bombs dropping, buildings toppling, ruins burning, and bodies being blown apart. At any time, the Nazis could have invaded, resulting in a brutal land war in our homeland. Yet despite all this, everyone knew we were at war. And there was a common enemy to be defeated. The enemy was tangible, and we were largely united as a people against it. Today's war is fundamentally different. We've been infiltrated, our respected institutions hijacked, our population brainwashed and divided. The weapons being deployed are silent and invisible. The essence of the war is the continued denial of its existence. I'll read that again. The essence of the war is the continued denial of its existence. That's everything right there. Once the masses are aware of it, the main fight is over. The major risk is not the enemy coming to conquer us by pouring in over our beaches, but our descent into rivalry and civil war internally. If World War I's deadly warning was gas, 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 this one's warning is gaslight, gaslight, gaslight. In traditional war, the traumas tend to be large and immediate. Obvious injuries to bodies, horrific displays of death or torture, destruction of property, suffering due to the lack of basic amenities, obvious repression by authorities. The conflict is open and undeniable. We have to endure the opposite right now, a war where everything is plausibly deniable, done with subterfuge, and superficial comfort is maintained to preserve the illusion of not being at war. Like we're doing this from the comfort of our own homes. And it's psychologically exhausting. It's a different kind of war. Many of us are weary at a deep soul level and are experiencing the cumulative effect of micro-trauma, a kind of pervasive background hurt from the constant exposure to wickedness. The injuries are still disabling, just non-obvious and internal. We have been subjected to the most intense psychological and cognitive warfare ever conducted. There are neuroweapons on the battlefield, including EMFs, DEWs, direct energy weapons, nanotech, hypnotic devices, poison in our food and water. The paradoxical methods of this kind of warfare mean its maximum barbarity has a minimum visibility. Everyone is a combatant. from the unborn to those on their deathbed, whether they know it or not. The battlefield is our DNA, the essence of life, whose consequences manifest everywhere, yet mechanisms cannot be seen. Only some of us are aware that we are at war, and therefore are subjected to the nightmare of watching those co-opted by the enemy destroying themselves, their children, their professional integrity, their cultural inheritance, their society's future. The nightmare is in the knowing, as much as the hideous actions that we know about. The awake are those who perceive the deceptive and devious nature of satanic warfare. The asleep are those in denial of an opponent whose methods are exceptionally refined and unbelievably cunning. I want to read one more sentence, and then I'll let you guys read it the rest on your own. There's about 4 more pages. But this sentence I loved. There is no way to tell someone who's in a cult that they have been hijacked. There has to be a moment of awful collision with reality that jolts them into questioning. The rest of us can see that coming, but cannot prevent. And I just had this happen when I was part of the QSI cult, the Quantum Stellar Initiative. No one could tell me that it was a cult until the awful collision with reality, when I realized, my husband said to me, "Why do we need so many assets?" And I was like, that was an awful collision with reality. And also that they were constantly bashing the Jews. And I was like, that just doesn't add up. That was another reality check. And then you get jolted out of the cult. And you can't, no one could have done it except for myself. I had to do this myself. And this is going to be for all our loved ones that still don't see that we're at war. There's one other beautiful point that he made. He basically said that even when they wake up, even when people wake up, they won't realize what we've been through. We have to internally pat ourselves on the back. We will never get the recognition that we want for being awake for so long, except for somebody who wakes up and is very spiritually evolved. Like right now, I'm like thanking everyone who's been awake, every mother who's fought the vaccine fight until now. I give them their props. I give them the credit due to them. I understand the hell and torture they went through in blazing this road, pioneering this fight for the rest of us. But this article, Martin says that we might not get that, and we have to be okay with not getting any external reward. I do think that God has the score with this, and there will be some kind of payback from God for having to endure being awake in a zombie world. But either way, it kind of is its own reward after a while, because we understand we're holding the light for humanity. And that, when you think of it that way, it feels good. Have a great day, guys.